have some trouble getting the phone set up. This is an easy fix. Okay, how's that? Not terrible. Pretty good first try. Okay. Cool. Well, I'm going to change my angle on YouTube slight bit. Okay. All right, guys. Just a little behind, but we're doing some closed guard techniques. Yeah, good here. Good. Thank you, Steve. And let me tuck these in. Earlier in the week, we looked at the trio of moves that are most commonly, one of the trios of moves that we most commonly do for closed guard. Get the string out of the way. And today we're going to look at the other. So last week we talked about putting my feet down, sitting up. We have the bump sweep. We have Kimura. Right? We have the guillotine. Catch the head. Cross and extend. Okay. And if I'm not mistaken. And today we're going to talk about the other trio that we look at. Let me send this. Which is omoplata, armbar, and triangle. Not in that order. Armbar, omoplata, triangle. And my goal today for you guys is to talk about how to solo drill them. Okay, you may have a partner, and that would be fantastic if you have a partner to work with. Just translate these solo drill movements to your partner. If you do not have a partner, my goal is that in class I give you something that you can do to hone your skill in these basics, right? And armbar, omoplata, triangle are basics. They fall in our fundamentals, but they're tricky. They're tricky. In particular, omoplata, and in particular, segueing between them. So I'm going to try to attack them as solo drills for you guys to be able to go take and practice. Armbar, we can definitely do. No problem. In closed guard, the person's arms on me, which is really more where they should be. For the other drill with 3 moves, we had their hands on the floor. And so we were able to sit up and attack. Because the floor is lava. Don't touch the floor when you're this guy. It's one of the very first things I learned in jiu-jitsu. And I kept asking where I could put my hands. And no one ever told me. They just said where not to put them. But one of the places that's pretty safe is on me. So his arms very frequently are going to be bent, so he's not overextended, bent. And his hands will be on me somewhere mid-chest area. And that's where, or stomach, and that's where I'm going to do this. Grab with the same side hand, his wrist, thumbless. So I'm going to go like this, just create a tunnel, trap his wrist to me. I'm going to hold his tricep, reach across and hold the tricep of that same arm. Now the tricep grip that I get here, I'm going to keep for the whole rest of the move. So hold the wrist, hold the tricep, and now there's going to be a bump. I'm going to put my feet on the ground to do it because what I want you to do is have your hips come off the ground and just a little bump to get his elbow from the side to the middle. So bump and then hold the shoulder. So when I say the tricep grip stays, you know which hand to grab the shoulder with, and that's the wrist hand. Let's go and hold the shoulder. And not just, don't get some material. You want to find the shoulder blade right here. Now, opposite foot goes to the hips, the person's hips, and I'm going to turn sideways. So the more of my back is on the ground, the more hard this is going to be to do as a solo drill. We can push off the person. It helps to have a person, but as a solo drill, we can do this. Wrist, tricep, bump. Hold the shoulder, put your foot on the ground, which will be the hip. And now this foot doesn't just turn. I turn all of me. So what I need to do is I need to kick my knee toward my face at the same time as I turn my ankle to start to see my ankle. So I need to do both motions. And it should turn my whole body. A little bit of momentum, you'll turn your whole body. Clamp. And then this one comes on top of the face. Okay. What I didn't do is when I kick this up, I don't turn onto my side. So on my side, if you do this in jiu-jitsu, there's no way you're going to be able to get your leg in front of his face. And I can't either. And it's not because you're not flexible. It's because you have to stay flat on your back for this. Close guard, wrist, tricep, bump, shoulder, foot to the hip, and now this sort of kicking and turning. Kick and turn, and I'm still flat on the ground here. Bite, bring this around the face, and the arm is between my legs. I actually have the arm bar right here. Okay, so let's rep it, 5 or 10 times. We'll just do it for the next kind of minute or so. Okay, close guard, same side wrist, tricep, bump it to the middle. That's very important because we can't catch an arm bar with the elbow at our hip. We need it in our center. So bring that across. Now grab the shoulder, foot to the hip, and now kick and turn, clamp, bring this in front, and there's your arm bar. Close guard. Wrist, tricep, bump. Shoulder, foot in the hip, turn. This should be clamping. And bring this in front of the head. Wrist, tricep, bump. Shoulder, foot in the hip, kick and turn. Bring this in front to catch the arm. Sorry, and you should be clamping down. You should be clamping down on your guy. Wrist, tricep, bump. Shoulder, foot in the hip, turn and clamp. Bring this in front of the head. Here's your arm bar. Get good at one side for now. Practice one side. Wrist, tricep, bump. Hand on the shoulder, foot on the hip. Kick and turn. Bite. Bring your leg in front. Here's your arm bar. Okay. Let's do 2 more. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. Right. Right. You can tell yourself your mantra. Just do another 10 seconds worth, right? So. Okay, that's our arm bar. So the arm bar in itself, in isolation, great, easy solo drill to do, right? There's kind of like, what are there, 7 or 8 steps I just said? Bum, 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 bum. Clamp, bring the leg over. Yeah, it's like 8 steps. So that's kind of a long mantra until you've done a few of them and you get comfortable and you'll feel good. With the arm in isolation, with the arm bar solo drill in isolation, no problem. It's when we start putting them together that it starts to get more advanced. But I do want you to stick with me on these. Okay. So imagining that I was the person whose arm, you bump to the middle and they brought your leg around. So when I end here and you're catching my arm right here. You're clamping so I can't get too far away. And you lift your hips here. And that's how you're straightening my arm. We talk about the omoplata as the follow-up for if I pull this out. If I extract this arm as if I could just pull it straight out, which shouldn't happen if your technique is good, but early enough in your movement, but maybe I do. This arm is left behind a little bit when I do that. And what I'm going to do is try to tip the person forward and catch their arm this way in what is essentially a Kimura with my legs. And that's what an omoplata is. That's how you should think of it. Omoplata means, I think it means shoulder plate. I think it means shoulder blade, essentially, in Portuguese. But that's our move. Omoplata is going to be the next move. So I turn and I brought my leg over for the arm bar, but the arm disappears, pulls down. But there's another arm hanging around over here. So this is how to solo drill the omoplata. We're going to pretend I have the arm bar, okay? But that they pull this arm out. When they pull this arm out, most of them is on my right, is on this side of me, on my right. When they pull that arm out, I'm immediately going to reach across with the cross arm. So I don't grab his arm with the arm near it. I grab across. And that's how you're going to want to hold on to the arm. Now my leg is over their back, and I've stuffed their wrist across my thigh. So the solo drill is, got the arm bar. This arm disappears, so I reach across for the wrist. This hand reaches under the leg, like I'm putting on a backpack or something. I'm just hooking under it like this and holding the wrist. Now the movement for finishing, for setting up the omoplata the rest of the way, is to do this. I'm going to kick my legs up, and I'm get on few enough of my vertebrae that I can spin a little bit. Turn 90 degrees and kick down. Okay, that's going to be most of my setup. Might need to tilt the Facebook camera down. I'll try and do it one more time. So I brought this over the head and I was catching an arm bar. We can start right from here for omoplata. They pull this out. I'm going to reach across and grab, and this one's going to hold underneath this leg like this. This is our first move. Grab their wrist, hold the leg. Now I'm going to rock up, turn 90 degrees, and kick down. When I do that, it puts their shoulder on the floor. When I kick down, I don't want to kick down with bent legs. I want to kick down with straight, heavy legs. That's how you're going to really bring the person's shoulder to the ground, and you're going to be able to finish the omoplata. Okay. Once I'm sitting up, I get into this position here. I just sat up, and I'm still physically, manually holding their arm across. Now I'm going to do this. One leg comes beside, the other leg comes here too. I can reach over their belt, right? That's so they don't do a front flip. Also, I'm just putting my fist on the ground. And now the finishing move to this, still holding their wrist, is just to bring my hips up. Looks like I'm bringing them up. What's really going to be happening is their arm is going to be underneath here, and I'm not actually going to have my leg on the ground. So it's not going to be on my knee that I do this. It's going to be on their arm, and it's going to come up like this. But for our purposes, knee on the floor is fine, because I want you thinking about your weight transferring from your hip to your knee, because whether his arm's under there or not, that is what I want. That's my ultimate goal, is to put my knee on the floor. Okay. So once again, if I put those two together, turn, I catch the arm. They pull that out. Immediately I reach across and underneath. Across for the wrist and underneath the leg, like hoisting it onto my shoulder. So I do those two things, rock, turn, and kick down with straight legs. And now I just take this arm out, put it over their back, put my legs beside myself like this, and I go from hip to knee. Lost the YouTube feed. Let me double check that real quick. That shouldn't happen. 12:01:02. It's ticking like it's going. So I'll keep going in case it's recording and you had trouble on your end. Not sure what happened there. Thank you, though, for the heads up. That's the kind of thing that I need. So thank you very much. So let's do armbar omoplata for just a couple minutes. Right? Armbar. So wrist, tricep, bump. Shoulder, foot in the hip, turn, and clamp. And bring this in front. Ha! Got your arm. Oh no, you pulled it out. Okay. So I reach across for the other arm, and I underhook the leg. That's this motion here. Reaching across and underhooking. Now I'm going to rock back, turn 90 degrees, and with straight legs, sit up. Throw my leg over the back so I can just put my knuckles on the floor. And I'm going to lean. I'm going to put my foot on my knee. We do this for some warm-ups that we do. All right. Here, I'm going to rock from my hip to my knee. I'm actually still holding the arm across my hip. Okay. Wrist, tricep, bump. Shoulder, foot on the hip, turn and clamp, catch the head. Okay. They pull the arm out. Immediately, this is my switch. And this is why solo drilling is great. Because you don't need a person here to do this. They don't have to put it back in for you to practice that movement a few times. You can get super slick on just this switch. I'm holding the arm, arm's gone, I grab the other one. Holding the arm, as fast as you can imagine it, you can practice transitioning from the arm bar to holding the other wrist and scooping the leg. And then we're going to rock up and turn, kick down with straight legs, arm over the back, legs to the side. I'm going right here and rock up to your knee. And I'm still holding on to their wrist here, okay? Armbar omoplata. Wrist, tricep pump, shoulder, foot in the hip, turn and clamp, leg in front, catch the armbar. They pull it out. Immediately, I can switch to their wrist and underhook their leg. Kick up, rock down with straight legs. Straight legs here. Now I can put my arm over their back so they're in somersault. Get away here. Bring my legs to the side and then put my knee on the floor and rock my weight from my hip that I'm sitting on, my right hip over here, to my knee forward. Let's do a couple more of those two moves together. Armbar. So wrist, tricep pump, shoulder, foot in the hip, turn and clamp, grab the head. They pull the arm out, immediately switch to here and rock up. Hand over the back, legs to the side, hip in. And last one, wrist, tricep bump, shoulder, foot and the hip, turn and clamp. Bring this leg over the head for the arm bar. They pull it out. Let me give you a different angle. Just so that I've given you a couple angles on it. I have the arm bar. They pull it out. I'm immediately going to stuff this hand across and underhook this leg. They pull that out. I look for this wrist and leg. Now I'm going to kick up and with straight legs rock down. Now I'm going to put my hand over their back, pull my legs to the side, and rock up. Okay. So that's good. We have the answer to one of the escapes, one of the problems we might run into in armbar. And it's not only an answer, it's a continued attack. They went down one road, but we had a plan in mind for that road as well. And that's the omoplata in this case. And then the third move is the triangle. So, and this does take some imagination, I understand. So they had me in an armbar. I pulled this out. They grabbed my wrist and stuffed it and then used their legs to force my shoulder to the floor and then caught me here. That was the problem. Number one problem you're going to run into with omoplata is not getting their shoulder to the floor. You kick down and they post or something, but, and I always say this, you don't want to go for an almost plata. Like if my shoulder doesn't hit the floor, if you don't totally make me weak, and even like, sometimes people sprawl out and it's just a very vulnerable place that they end up. But if they post and their shoulders off the ground, it's very possible, and your legs are both right here, it's very possible for me to turn the corner, turn around, and then be back in your guard. Okay? So there's this moment when you knock me down, where if you don't get the shoulder down, but I kind of dig in, I can turn in and now be between your legs again. Shoulder down. But you notice that when I turn around, there's this moment that my arm will be between your legs and my head will be between your legs. And if you can, before I bring my hand into the mix, if you can wrap your legs around just these two, we're obviously in triangle territory. Okay. So I'm going to give you it's something you should see, and it's something you should practice with another person, granted. But this is going to be a solo drill, a movement that we can run, just like you ran those two moves, the previous two moves, to practice the transition from omoplata to triangle. And let me put these two together first, and then we can do them as a trio. Okay? And how are we on time? Yeah, I think we'll have time for that. So omoplata. I had the arm bar, but they pulled their arm out, so I caught the wrist, underhooked the leg, and kicked down. Now, let's say I don't get my legs all the way to the floor, which means their shoulder, which is under here, doesn't get pinned to the floor, which is why we want straight legs. Let's say I get kind of here. What happens is the person's going to turn around and come in, and I'm going to need the leg over their shoulder, the one that's on the side that they were on, to post on their hip. And then I'm going to do this. That's it. I just put my foot down, and I try to make a shield, a block that they run into with this leg. And when they turn that corner, I hit them in the chest with my hamstring, and then I cut the corner here, and I cross my legs. We don't need to go for a triangle here. I just want to catch them in diamond for this moment, and that's sufficient for our drilling. Okay? So they pull their arm out of the arm bar, so I caught their wrist, and I underhooked their leg. I went to sit up, but they forced their way back in. When they do that, I'm going to switch my foot to their hip. Floor is going to be their hip. And I try to almost kick them in the chest with my hamstring. I put that up and in the way, okay? Now they've got one arm that was stuffed in and their head is appearing. The other arm is still out. So in this moment, I want to clamp and cross, and that's it, okay? The rest of finishing a triangle is going to come down to your triangle knowledge, right? We're going to have to push the arm across and hold the head and scoot back and close up our triangle. But I'm most interested in the transition to that point when you've caught them. And that's some people call it a diamond position or triangle setup position, but it's when I'm here, not here, Okay, so last time from just omoplata, and then we'll do that hamstring shield. I mean, that's really what it is, and then cross your feet. I had the arm bar, they pulled out. I grabbed the wrist and underhooked the leg. I rocked up and rocked down, but it wasn't enough, and they start pushing back in. So when they do, the leg on the side that they were on hits the ground, and I hit them in the chest with my hamstring, and now I can cross my feet here. And that's really the whole transition. The hardest thing is, in an omoplata, is this arm that's over their shoulder is getting it over to their hip. So just when somebody rocks back up, be in the habit of circling that foot off, finding the hip, creating a shield with your hamstring. If you hit them in the chest, it'll take that extra second to get their hand in, and then you're going to clamp and then cross. Okay, so let's take a look at all three. We'll put them together. We'll rep them just for the last few minutes here. And then I know it's Thursday night. We have yoga with Katie and her cat later. Okay, arm bar. So wrist, tricep, bump, hand on the shoulder, foot in the hip, turn sideways, clamp, catch the guy. They pull the arm out, boom. That's my switch. I grab for their wrist and their underhook. I rock back, I kick up. If they come back at me, I'm here, clamp, and cross. That's how these three combine for a solo drill. Wrist, tricep, bump, shoulder, foot in the hip, turn, and clamp. Bring the other leg over. Here's my arm bar. They pull that out. Quick switch to the other wrist, stuffing it across my hip and holding under their leg. I'm going to rock back and kick down. I would hit an omoplata here, but they rock back into me. When that happens, I create a hamstring shield. Put my foot on their hip, boom, hit them in the chest with my hamstring, bend this leg, cross my feet. Couple more. Wrist, tricep, bump, shoulder, foot in the hip, turn and clamp and arm bar. They pull it out, stuff the other hand, underhook the leg, rock up. This would be omoplata territory. And if you want to practice one, that's great. Boom, practice one. If you want to just rock back and then rock, and they drove into you, it's hamstring shield with your foot on the floor. Bite, you get a bite with this foot, and then you can cross your feet again. Okay, last two. Hold the wrist, tricep, bump, shoulder, foot in the hip, turn and clamp. Bring this over the head, arm bar. They pull that out. Immediate switch to omoplata, rock up. You can finish the omoplata if you want. Or if when they start to come back, you're gonna make a hamstring shield, bite, cross. Last one, I'll do it with no verbalization. I'll do it sort of how I would do it, real speed. So. All right. So thanks so much for joining me for class. Some of you do it live, some of you do it a little bit later. Thanks for technical advice as I'm going or letting me know if things are working or not working. Always good to see you, Jay, Steve, John Gavin. Good to see you, brother. This trio of moves, armbar, omoplata, triangle, is, every move connects to every move, but these three are really a little web of moves. And I say I think web is a little better than chain because one does connect to the other, each to the other in different ways, and they're all connected. And transitions are where we really catch people. So when people think you're going for one and you transition to another, that's good jiu-jitsu, okay? And that's why Kimura bump sweep guillotine are so good. That's why armbar omoplata triangle are so good. And you can do this drill with me and you can solo drill it. And what's going to happen is you're going to be rolling and you're going to go for an armbar. And there's going to be a moment where there isn't thought for you anymore when you lose the armbar, but something else is right there. Maybe the omoplata, right? And that's because you drilled it. So you're doing the right thing drilling these. Good to see you guys. I will see you soon. I'll see you in person, we hope, somewhat soon. Till then, it's online, and I'm enjoying this too. I'll see you guys. Take care. Boop, and YouTube. Take care. Hey guys.